This is 720 Gordon Drive. It's an old farmhouse that sits on 3 acres of fantastic property right in the middle of Charleston in Fort Hill. It's in the best school districts in the city. There's a small outbuilding in the front. It's actually a 2-car garage lengthwise. But the real reason this property is so attractive is because it's fully subdividable and you have 3 acres of flat mowable land. Actually 2 acres is the mowable portion. And then over the hill you have a couple of shelves that are suitable for building houses with an exposed basement or tiny houses, things like that. I'm going to go ahead and walk the property and kind of give a perspective of this fantastic place. It's a very slight grade. It's no big deal at all. It's the side view of the farmhouse with an exposed basement, which means basically you have 3 bedrooms and an unfinished attic upstairs. And then downstairs where you see those 3 windows, those are actually in the basement. So you have an entrance from the basement, a deck that goes to the upstairs, as well as the front porch. So it works out great if you have a caretaker or if you want to rent the upstairs and the downstairs. That's the backyard. This is a big piece of property. Now the fantastic thing about it, for me personally, is that I grew up 3 houses to the north of this property. And as a child, I played on this field, football, baseball, whatever the hell else we wanted to play. And it was like our property. They called it Young's Field back then. And the original homestead owners, the farmers, their family had passed on. But the kind of piece of nostalgia that I really loved when I saw it again was this old sign on this tree. This sign was put up in about 1965. And you can't read it very well now, but it says, "No ball playing due to sickness." And of course, they let us play here anyway. They were nice people. But this property just keeps going and going on the flat side. Now, this is an apartment building that is owned by someone that I know. I'm actually trying to buy that as well because there's a road here that could give us access to this property without having to invest. A road coming all the way from that white car down here to access the homes. I mean, economically it's feasible to do that and it's still a profitable venture. But if you could save $75,000, which would be about the cost to put that road in, it would just be a deal like no deal. Now I'm going to take you to the back ridge of the property so you'll see the real coolness of it. And again, these woods I know like the back of my hand because I played in them as a child. And when I'm at the top here of the ridge, I'm going to show you what the road view is so you can see exactly why it's so fantastic. I'm now at the bottom of the flat part. Now if you take a look up from here, imagine if you had a house sitting on this spot, how fantastic it would be. And there's just about no one in Charleston, maybe no one in West Virginia, that has this kind of a piece of flat land, especially in the city limits. Now here's one of those little shelves I was talking about. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk around the perimeter of the flat part, and I'm going to take you down an old service road that has been there forever. I think it was cut in by one of the utility companies. It's a little bit overgrown now because they haven't been keeping up with it. But where it leads, you're just going to flip when you see it. This is the access. And again, just to give you a point of reference, we're walking to the other side. And down here, I think these are the old original benches that they had here from when I was a kid. Really something else. You can see where the road starts. It's covered up with grass now. But that's nothing that a bulldozer can handle in about 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is we're going to walk down into what they call, I think it's Danner Hollow. Danner Hollow. And you'll see where it slopes off to the left. It goes down the hill because there's a creek there. But look down where we're walking. This is like a nature trail. You can take horses, dogs, whatever you wanted to on this. Actually, I take that back. I'm not sure about horses, but possibly. And it's cool because all throughout the property, you'll see rock outcrops that have been here for centuries, like this one. Still going down to the bottom of Danner Hollow. Imagine this if all these downed trees were chopped up and removed and this road was graded nicely, maybe with gravel, maybe not. Doesn't really need it. It's been here for so long, it's very stable, not going anywhere. Didn't even require a retaining wall. You'll see down here there's a creek. It's kind of hard to tell maybe on the pictures, but as we get to the bottom, you'll see it better. And just for a point of reference, up there is the flat part that we just left. This is a rear view of the top of the road. So now, focusing back down Danner Hollow, now you can see the creek a little better. Now, after you've had a day or two of rain, the creek really flows, and you can actually hear it from the top of the hill. Now down here, these sites, I mean, this site is also buildable if we chose to do something on it. I mean, look at how magical this is. I mean, this is in the middle of the city, and these trees, probably many of them over 200 years old. Big ones. Most of them oak. And there at the top of the hill where you see the light, that's where the field is. So now I'm continuing down the road. Again, I can't believe I'm actually here again. But now here's another shelf. It's hard to tell with all this greenery, but I'm standing at one level, and if we went down there, we'd be at another level, and that's what's next to the creek. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you on this secondary shelf down a little further down the creek so you can see what everything is. Really pretty cool. A lot of natural foliage here, of course, and these are ferns. These ferns are actually pretty valuable. Now up at the top, that's where the field is. So as you can tell, because I'm not so winded, it's not a huge, terribly aggressive walk. But take a look at that tree. That tree's probably 300 years old. Amazing. At least. You'll see some more rock outcroppings up there. And this is one of the shelves. I think it'd be perfect for tiny homes or patio homes, or even to put, some other type of dwelling down here, whether it's tree house, clubhouse. I mean, you could really do some cool stuff. You can see again how the road was cut on the shelf. This is all part of the utility company's work. Very cool. And just for a point of reference, if I kept walking down this path for about another 1,000 feet, I would be at my old house. Really, really cool, the house I grew up in. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the creek bed. And the creek bed is also kind of a neat thing for me to remember again, because this is the creek I played in as a kid. Used to search for salamanders and crawdads, things like that. We just played in these woods all the time, and the shade was beautiful. Now this is one little waterfall. It's dry right now because there hasn't been any rain for the last few days, and it's dirty because nobody's ever cleaned it out, but it would definitely be within my plan to clean it out. You take a look at the rock ledge, all that is sandstone and shale. Really, really beautiful. And you can see the flat part of the creek there at the bottom. So we're going to go down there, and I'm going to walk you back once I get tired of walking down. We'll see if I can do it without a daggone coronary. I've actually walked so much property this weekend, I'm sure I'm fine cardiac wise. But anyway, there's some more of the rock ledge. So now I'm in the base of the creek. And this creek, when it rains, it flows pretty good. And you can always see water in it because there's just natural drainage from up the hill. But if you take a look up there, really, really cool and pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and do something I haven't done since about 1970. I'm going to walk up this creek bed. Really neat. I tell you, for me, it's a walk down memory lane. It's really surreal. All of these rocks at some point were jumped on and crossed by my buddies and me. And again, once these old trees and things like that, if they get cut out, be really, really cool and beautiful. Not that it doesn't look great now, but you could really do something neat. So again, further up the creek bed, big mossy rocks. Remember, you got to be careful on these things. And again, the creek bed that needs some of this old wood removed. From a development perspective, it's nice because here you have a stormwater pipe, so it's easy to drain anything you develop down to the bottom, so it's inexpensive. And here we've got an exposed sewer pipe that kind of washed out because nobody's paid attention to it, but it can be covered so it doesn't destroy the natural beauty of this area. Still functional. That's where our sewers would tap into, so it's great. Now this is really cool. Right on the property there's a couple of little caves. I don't know if I'd want to be cruising in there now, but we sure did as a kid. As kids, rather. And here is the gem. This was awesome. As a child, it seemed huge. It's not so huge. It's about 20 feet tall, maybe. But you can see that waterfall. And when it rains, it just comes down like crazy into that pond, and you can actually hear it way up at the top of the hill. Really, really cool. But if you could imagine doing something down here at the bottom of the hill, in terms of like tiny houses, cabins, or tree houses, as I said earlier, really, really a neat idea and a neat atmosphere. And this is 5 minutes from downtown Charleston, and it's in the best school district. I know I said that already, but gotta say it again. Anyway, so now I'm gonna go back and try and find the best way up. It doesn't look like there's any shortcut here that I can handle. So I'll just go back the way we came. Pretty cool. Now we'll see if I can do this without getting too winded. That'll be the test. It's also about 20 degrees cooler down here. You got all the shade. Yeah, this is the spot we entered. Another feeder creek. These ribbons that you see are marking probably the property line. I'm not sure. I've got Miss Utility coming out here Monday, Tuesday to mark all the utilities. Just look at that. Again, this is the overgrown service road. Look at this for a sight. That's the flat field up top. Now, that's the other side of the property. It's actually not a, doesn't go, across the creek is the dividing line. But for all intents and purposes, we get to enjoy it. Now I get the cardiac workout. Again, creek to the right, flat field up at the top. Service road straight ahead. Almost there. That's the rock that we saw going down. Again, 300-year-old trees. There we are, back at the top. There's a deer up there you didn't, oh. Wow. I scared him out of the woods. What a riot. Pretty amazing. Like I said, can't believe it's here. By the way, this little side lot here goes with the property. We could build a house there as well. Or cottage, whatever. Pretty proud of myself. I walked this property 3 times this week. Haven't died yet. House again. Not bad. You would expect it to be worse. I know the old man that built it. He's been gone now for about 25 years, and maybe 30. He was a mason, which means that house is built like a rock. That retaining wall's been there for that long too. Neither of which are going anywhere. Okay. Well, in summary, this is 720 Gordon Drive. I would have never thought I could be the one to own it.